Hello, hello. Hopefully this is working now. Let me bring Christine on and let's hope that this is working. Hey,
I hope so.
I'm checking really quick to see. It was doing a black screen
I
and
saw that.
and there was no audio, so we might have to just start over, but let me check. With the
Now I see the
with the
pattern.
delay it's showing like, yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's working. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Woohoo!
When all else fails, hit the refresh button.
Yes.
As a little
Unplug
bit of
it
a
and plug it in
techie,
again.
yep. As a computer techie, when things are not working, refresh your browser. And if that doesn't work, there's Jim. Hey Jim, refresh your browser. If that doesn't work, then reboot your computer. That
Yep.
usually fixes like 99% of everything. And so, all right, well, we're back now. So why don't we start over? Sorry for the technical difficulties. So I'm Madeline Sklar, host of the Social ROI chat, and I'm here with our special guest. Please welcome Christine Gritmon. Hey, Christine, I guess we'll just start over.
Hi.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Christine Gritmon. My company is Christine Gritmon Inc. Very original. And I specialize in strategies that help small local business owners do social media in a way that is simple and inexpensive and doesn't take up a ton of their time because they don't have a lot of time. They're running a business.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a lot of work running your own business.
It is.
For those that don't know, it takes a lot to make all the things happen, especially when you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything yourself.
Mhm.
But yeah, we had a great topic today. It is reframing our perspective on social ROI. I thought that Christine would be so great to have as our guest today. Christine, you've been like one of our regulars on the social ROI
Yeah,
chat for a while,
I always
and
learn stuff.
yeah, well, you always share such great stuff. I learn a lot from you. I mean, you're always sharing great, valuable advice.
Aw.
And so you're one of those that really stand out on the chat each week. And so I thought you would be perfect to have as our special guest. So what we're going to do is go through some of the questions and we'll
Mhm.
get your expanded thoughts on this.
Absolutely.
And so we'll start with question number one. How can small businesses reach their audience without exhausting themselves and their capital?
And I'm glad that you framed that with the exhausting themselves because so many people, I mean, they're exhausted before they even start because they think, oh my
Oh,
God, social media is going to be this whole big thing. And they feel like they have to be everywhere and be all things to all people. And really, the way to prevent burnout and ensure proper targeting of your message is to realize your audience is not everybody and they're not everywhere. Figure out who they are, figure out where they are, figure out what they want, and you're fine. So, and that's easier said than done. But the fact is,
yeah.
if you feel like you have to do all the things all the time and you have to reach everyone, the way forward is not going to be as clear. If you know who you're talking to and what you're trying to convey, the content is gonna be a lot clearer. The content you have to create, any sort of advertising you're doing, creating those audiences is going to be a lot clearer. It's just you need to have some sort of way forward that is guided by who you're talking to and what you're trying to say. And if you're trying to say everything, everywhere to everyone, that's not going to guide you.
Just like, you hear that term, the riches are in the niches, right?
Yes,
That's one of my favorites. It's so true, right?
it's the only time I ever pronounce it niche, and I do love that saying. I'm a niche girl, but absolutely, the riches are in
Oh,
the niches. I like that one. I have heard that one, and
yeah,
it's a
I
good
love
one.
that too. And I think I've really shown people that like by like just watching what I do. I've niched
Yeah.
down on Twitter, like totally
Mhm.
niched down on Twitter. And then not only did I didn't niche down on Twitter, but I niched down on Twitter and like really focus on Twitter chats. Right.
Yes.
So I've really gotten known as like the Twitter chat gal, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm not just niching in one area, I'm niching down within that.
Yeah.
And you can really go very far in when you're niching down on things. But the thing is, you don't want to be too far out, but you don't want to be too far in. You want to find that place that is just right.
That
And
sweet
it can
spot.
vary from person to person, right?
It really can, absolutely. But another thing is that even if you do have a broader audience, break down that broader audience. You can target a few different audiences at the same time instead of
Yeah.
targeting that broad group. If you've got 100 people you're targeting, 5 groups of 20 is going to be a lot more successful than one blast to 100.
That is so true. Very well said. Well, let's look at question number 2. The change in Facebook's algorithm has caused businesses to change the way they interact with their audiences. And this is with some other social platforms too, not just Facebook. I mean, like look at Instagram when they change theirs. What does meaningful interaction mean for businesses in 2019?
Absolutely. Well, it means that we can't look at just the vanity metrics anymore of, your total follower count or even likes. Likes have become very devalued with the new algorithm because those are really passive forms of support. You can click like on a page very easily. You can click like on a post very easily. It doesn't actually convey interest. So meaningful interaction means that the post has caused the audience to actually want to react in a way that takes more than 5 seconds. Writing a comment, especially if the comment is more than 5 words, I think is what is weighed more highly in the algorithm. Shares are valuable, especially shares where people contribute their own thoughts. Conversations that aren't just with you on the thread, people conversing with each other on the comment thread is tremendously valuable because what it says is that you're not just broadcasting something out there meant to be passively consumed. What it says is you're trying to actually engage with people. You're trying to get them to think. You're trying to get them to have a bigger reaction than just a passive button click. And that's what Facebook wants to be. Facebook wants to be a place for discussion and conversation. It doesn't want to be taken over by marketers the way it has been. So if the marketers are to survive, we need to fit into that conversational structure as opposed to hoping that the platform built to we're the interlopers here. And we need to recognize that and we need to respect that if we want to get any traction.
And get the marketers to change the narrative from making it all about themselves to making it about you, the reader, the listener, the person who is being drawn into the conversation, right?
Yeah, because what you're offering really has to start with who you're offering it to and what they need. Otherwise, you're not going to get any traction there either. People think it's so unfair that you can't just put stuff out there and get it seen anymore. But honestly, it's a lot more fair to the audience, and that's who Facebook is trying to serve.
Exactly, for sure. Question number 3, when using social media in the marketing funnel, what are some things that marketers should keep in mind when interacting with their customers?
Absolutely. And I admit that when I answered it in the chat, I didn't talk as much about the funnel element. One of the comments that I really liked pointed out that you should communicate differently with people at different stages in the funnel, which is really, really smart. You can target people with ad messages so you know where they are in the funnel. But assuming that we're kind of talking to everybody with organic posts, the 5 tips that I came up with were show, don't tell. Because, if you tell someone you're great, if you tell someone your product's the best or your service is the best, of course you're saying that. The way to do it is to really show, demonstrate value. That's what you really have to do. The second thing I said was engage, don't broadcast. That goes back to what I was saying about the algorithm. If you're just putting something out there for passive consumption, that doesn't fly anymore. And if you're just hoping that other people will talk about it and thinking you don't have to get back in there once you've posted it, no, your work is not done. Your work is just beginning. You need to engage. You need to be part of that conversation. Otherwise, it's going to move along without you. Starting with them. You need to really look at their needs, their wants, and what they're saying online. You need to do that social listening and in-person listening and understand the picture you're fitting into. Give without getting goes back to, again, the adding of value, not just saying buy me, but saying, here's something that might help you out. And then that you're that trusted person or brand that gave them something that helps them out. Ultimately, you should want to be helping. That should be the goal. And then the final thing that I had said was that the sale is only the beginning. And that is really key. And that comes back in a later question, which is that if you are just going for that transaction, you are cutting your future so short. It should be, when they give you their money, that should be the beginning of the relationship, because then you're going to give them tons of value, but you're also hopefully going to get them so happy and so delighted by what you've offered them that they are going to become your biggest marketing asset. They're going to refer you to friends and colleagues and family and whoever. That is so much more valuable than anything you yourself could ever possibly put out there.
I love that. That is some really great tips there. I hope everybody's jotting this down. Let's go over to question number 5. How can a small business figure out what is interesting for the customers?
I mean, listen. Figure out what they're talking about, where they're talking about it, figure out their pain points, figure out their needs. They are expressing them. People love complaining on the internet. They're not hiding their problems that they want you to solve for them. You just need to listen. You need to figure out what they need, what they're already using, the picture you're already fitting into, or the picture that, needs something to fit into it. Where are those holes that you can help with? Also, looking at what else is working in your industry is a good idea, not to copy, but first of all, there's some best practices there that you can certainly find. And if someone else is, doing their homework, it doesn't hurt to look at what they're doing. But at the same time, you also do need to stand out. If you just do what someone else is doing, it is not going to work for you, because people are going to see through that. People are going to say, okay, they're just copying. And also, you don't want to be a me too. You want to be you. You want to make sure that you're better than what your competition is, at least for some people. Again, you don't have to be all things to all people, but who are the people who you would serve better than your competitors do, and why? And rock that.
I love that. Gary Vaynerchuk has so many copycats, right? It seems like when he started his video, like his daily V, like all of a sudden everybody was like doing their own video, but exactly like his, and not being creative with their own. And of course, when you have someone as big as Gary Vaynerchuk, you're going to get people that are going to just flat out copy, right? Because it's like, oh, well, this works for him. Let's see if it'll work for me. Whereas really it's like looking to see what other people are doing, to see like, okay, this is resonating with their audience. What could I do? Like, okay, maybe I should start a video show, but what can I do that my audience would really like, that my community would resonate with?
And Gary Vee is a great example, because there's so much. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg with Gary Vee. You're seeing what came after years and years of hustle to build that community, to build that trust. So you can't just go in there, hop into where he is, however many years along, and be like, oh, if I do that, that'll work for me. No, man, he put in the background work. Again, we're seeing the tip of the iceberg, and you can never assume that you can duplicate someone else's success, because you don't know what went into it.
That's so true. I mean, I always say, just put your head down, do the work, and longevity is always your friend. I've been doing digital marketing since 1996. Okay.
Whoa.
I've been doing this for a long, Oh yeah. When the .com thing was new, I was one of the first web designers in Houston. There were like 3 of us, and 4th largest city in the country. And there were like 3 of us that were the very first web designers.
Did you do like banner ads on AOL?
I used to design HTML web pages in Notepad. Like, there were no programs yet. There were no third-party tools. It was like you did it in Notepad off the top of your head. I had a little refurbished compact laptop that was like my trusty computer that helped me launch my very first business as an entrepreneur. And I notice Tim has a question here. He says, while social media is awesome, I find occasionally surprising customers with something in the snail mail that has a real impact. It's really amazing, like when businesses take the time to do amazing things for their customers.
It's above and beyond.
Absolutely. I don't know if Jim Katzeman is still here. He was here at the beginning saying hi to us. He has been posting on Twitter today that he received, or maybe it was probably on Facebook too, that Dennis Yu, who's really known for doing amazing customer things, sent him a pair of socks with his photo all over it. And I've seen him do that for other people, right? And it's one of those things where it just shows up and you're like, whoa, I mean, talk about surprise and delight your customer. So it's really amazing when you...
It also has like 100% open rate too. Snail mail, who's not, I mean, maybe you don't open something that's obviously junk mail, but the fact is, if someone has a relationship with you, they're not expecting to hear from you in that way. That's brilliant if you can pull it off.
Everybody wants mail. Everybody wants mail. Back in the olden days, since I'm a little bit older here, back in the olden days, before the internet, before all this stuff, way before social media, back in the like sales days when I used to be in a whole different industry doing sales, the way you got your piece of mail open before everyone else's, a little trick we used to do is if you FedEx something, if you overnighted something,
Yes,
who is not going to take the FedEx package that was overnighted to them and put that at the top of their mail pile, right?
exactly. It's like,
It's
oh, this
like,
is something
ooh,
real.
yeah, exactly. It's like, ooh, there must be something really important because somebody overnighted it to me.
That literally
So
happened to me today. Today I got home,
did
I
you?
picked up the mail, and there were, the usual junk mail or bills or whatever. That's all sitting on my dining room table still. I haven't touched. I don't know what mail I got in envelopes today. I know that I got a big puffer envelope, and it
Right.
turned out to be the Kickstarter gift from a friend of mine who's opening a business. But that, of course, that's the only thing I opened from my mailbox. And I was like rushing out of the house, but I'm like, I'm not leaving without opening this package. I got a package. That's so cool.
There's always something about a package that's so
Hmm.
exciting. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
I love
present.
that. Well, thanks for sharing that, Tim. I mean, it's a good comment there.
Yeah.
And I love how Jim has been sharing this today with his pair of socks that even though it's just a pair of socks in the big picture of things is not that big of a deal to get, right? But the
Hmm.
fact that he didn't expect it, it came from someone that, I'm sure he's a customer, so he paid money for a service from Dennis and that he received something so unexpected.
A
So I
couple
think
of
that's
weeks
just
ago, I had my friend Gina Dashbuck of Peruse, Perooz, custom
uh-huh.
magazines on my Facebook Live show. And she does custom magazines for, a lot of them are coaches or speakers, but whoever wants one, whoever wants to invest in that, it's got valuable content. But the thing about it is, yeah, there's a virtual version, but sending the snail mail magazine in a big envelope, if you get a big envelope, I mean, that's not something you throw out, and it's nice and it's
Right.
heavy, and it's got a great open rate. And then people, I mean, when they open it and they see it, they're not going to just chuck it aside. They're going to open it and say, "Oh, what's this?" And especially if they've already got a connection to you,
Yeah.
that's a really unique way to stand out. That's a great idea.
I love that. That is so cool. All right,
Hmm.
we'll do one more question. And this is
Okay.
a question I really enjoyed watching everybody answer. It was question number 6. What are vanity metrics and how should marketers approach them when building communities?
Yeah, vanity metrics, man. So that is the old-fashioned metric of follower count, sometimes, or page likes or whatever you have there. And while it can indicate something about audience, especially with the rise of the algorithm, it really doesn't even anymore indicate who's actually seeing your stuff. It used to mean something back when all your followers got all your posts in their feeds.
Right.
Now that that's not the case, now that the algorithm is really weighting more heavily actual engagement and people who are actually involved regularly with your content, I mean, that's what means more. So it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 if only about 100 people are seeing, but at the same time, if you could have 1,000 page likes and if 500 people are regularly engaging, that's much more valuable. It's really about it's really got to be about having the right people. I worked with someone, and she had a Facebook page and she hadn't done a lot with it. She just technically had one. Her employer set one up for her. And we went in to look at why she had so many followers compared to her colleagues, because she hadn't done anything really. So she said, I don't know why I have all these followers. I just do. And we looked, and most of them were from some random Eastern European country where she didn't know anybody. And I said, okay,
Oh,
so we need to proceed as though you do not have this many followers. Again, the algorithm might have helped her out a tiny bit because she had so many followers. It might have given her a slight advantage, but I don't think it really did much because these people weren't engaging, and these people were not people who were going to be using her services. Her services are highly localized. So I said, we really need to look at that metric of who is following you. You can see location. If you are a geographically bound company or service, location matters. If you're not, then it doesn't so much. You got to see, I got to say, Facebook used to have much better audience insights than it does now. I feel like it's always not working when I try to look, but it used to get downright creepy. You could see the other pages they liked. You could see what they were interested in. It was really, really useful. For example, for what I do, I want to reach small business owners. If I see the people in my comments threads are small business owners or their fellow social media strategists, which is also useful for me as I try to do more collaborations and speaking engagements. That's also good. If I see the people who are commenting are from those audiences, that is fantastic. If the people commenting are like my mom, she's not using my service. It's great to have support, but the fact is you want your followers to be someone who are actually going to lead somewhere for you, ideally. And taking a look at the quality of your followers matters a lot more than a monolithic number that tells you nothing about the quality of those followers and their relevance to your business and your relevance to their lives.
Right. Great points. I love that. This has been really awesome. What a great conversation.
Yay!
I love that you shared so much great stuff during the Twitter chat. We'll have a recap up tomorrow on Managed Twitter's website. I'll have a Twitter Moments recap by tomorrow morning as well. And then, of course, this after chat, which is just a fun way to have a conversation. So thank you, everybody that's been tuning in. And Christine, what is the best way for people to reach out? I'm going to put up your Twitter account, but how else can people get in touch with you?
I'm in most of the usual spots. I'm on Twitter as C. Gritmon. I'm also C. Gritmon on Instagram. On Facebook, I'm Christine Gritmon Inc. Gritmon is with an O-N. And I am also christine.gritmon.com. And on LinkedIn, I'm Christine Gritmon. It's kind of nice that I am apparently the only Christine Gritmon, if the internet is any indication. There was someone who had my maiden name, and that was confusing. We had the same first and last name. And, so for the past 10 years, I've been the only person with my name. So it's been nice.
Hey, I can attest to how awesome that is because there's no other Madeline Sklar. So it is always nice to have a unique name that nobody else has. So I totally understand that. Let me put up your, there it is, your link to your website. Yeah. So everybody go check out Christine, go follow her on Twitter, check out her website.
Check out my Facebook Live show on Fridays at noon.
Yeah, there you go.
Good.
Always good stuff. Always good stuff. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been so great having you here. And thank you, everybody, for being here with us and being part of our great organization or community. And we'll be back next week. We're going to have Larry Kim. I'm so excited. We're going to be
amazing. Donkeys and unicorns.
Yeah,
donkeys
it's going to be
and
awesome.
Unicorns. You'll understand it if you tune in next week.
Always a fun time. All right, Christine, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you out on Twitter like I always do. Until then, bye. See ya.